Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning to you and good morning to your viewers.
What is your evaluation of the strike? Was it a success?
I do think that from a turnout point of view, it was a huge success, and also the participation of a broad cross-section of the society. But in terms of the impact on the demands they are making, it will take a bit of time before we can see whether this had an impact.
It's been estimated that billions will be lost and the economy will be affected, making business and investors unhappy. To what extent are external potential investors scared off by strikes in South Africa?
Well, I do think that this is a point that is often overstated, because if you look at places like Europe, they are quite prone to huge strikes which sometimes go for weeks. And therefore, an investor would be making comparative analysis and stability of the environment. The biggest threat to the investor would be to say, what would be the long-term impact of an unequal society which could lead to disorder in the long run? And that in itself is what I think the government should be addressing in terms of the deep structural and systemic problems that are afflicting our economy.
Now, economist Mike Schuessler has been quoted as saying South Africans go on strike for every little disagreement. Would you consider the issues raised as little disagreements?
Well, if you take the particular e-tolling matter as well as the labor broker, you could say it's not as big. But if you take the squeeze that many workers and even your middle class have been experiencing since 2008, 2009 recession, unemployment, inequality growing, and the galloping cost of living going higher, and therefore disposable income disappearing, the taxes going up, petrol going up, that to me is the main challenge that people should be focusing on, because over time there might be a tipping point when these particular groups may turn into, they may take to the streets on a higher scale if these particular challenges are not addressed.
What is the value of a strike like this for Cosatu in the tripartite alliance? Does it strengthen Cosatu's arm? Does it give Cosatu more leverage? I mean, what is the potential impact going to Mangaung as well?
Well, it does two things. It's flexing of muscles, especially ahead of the ANC policy conference, where a number of such issues will be raised to say what is the direction of the National Democratic Revolution of the ANC and the alliance partners. But at another level, should some of these issues not be resolved, it creates tension that may actually take long enough to impact on the Mangaung politics.
Now, just talk a little bit about Julius. The ANC Youth League president was there. He addressed the crowd. What do you make first of his presence there?
Well, I do think that his presence there will certainly bolster him in many ways, to say that even if in the mainstream formal ANC politics he may not be in favor, he may be facing challenges, but out there in the civil society amongst the workers, some of them may say that precisely because of the issues he's raising sharply in a very crude fashion, he has become, one of the most important spokespersons. You remember the Impala Platinum issue where he also appeared. So he remains quite a significant and a popular figure in spite of his challenges personally and politically.
Yeah, within the context of the tripartite alliance, could there be implications for his presence there? Or this is something that is just of Cosatu's doing, and Cosatu has the latitude to do as it pleases when it comes to Cosatu organized events?
Well, you'll remember that you also had other leaders who came in to address these marches, from the Young Communist League, from the ANC Youth League. And this may surely cause some tensions within Cosatu itself, because I don't think all leaders will necessarily embrace the presence of Malema given his current predicaments. But it will also cause, quite some negative reaction from the ANC top leadership.
Yeah. So after this show of force, 32 towns and cities across the country, is e-tolling going to be scrapped? Do you see labor brokers legally being barred from operating in South Africa anymore?
I do think that it will simply put more pressure on the NETLEC process to speed up the process and make more concessions in terms of the labor brokers. And in terms of the e-tolling, it will be a matter of few weeks before it is clear whether government goes ahead and impose the e-tolling system. But again, we can be set for a stage of public protest, and Cosatu has even proposed that they may go to the highways. So you may have an issue of civil disobedience, wherein some people may be using roads and refusing to pay.
Yeah. So the ball is in government's court, as it were.
The ball is in government's court, but also those who are protesting coming to the table to engage each other and find, more amicable solutions and deal with the issues head on.
Okay. All right. Professor Somadoda Fikeni, thank you very much for joining us in our studios in Pretoria. Sakile Nyoni says, why do we need the tolling system? This is not a South African idea. We never had this madness during apartheid, and the other roads were okay.